Okay, I think I'm live. So, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to our regular Tuesday stream for Legendary Game of Heroes. And it is going to be a light Slayer event. And so, what I wanted to do is talk about the cards and talk about the event updates, and hopefully come up with an idea of what we could possibly do for the upcoming event. And so, just wanted to make sure that everybody is able to hear me. Sounds like it should be okay. Okay, and looks like though I'm not getting any messages showing up here. So give me 1 second while I fix this. What's going on here? Oh, you know what? This is the one. I think it's here you go. Okay, this is the one. Sorry, guys. I need to fix something real quick. And just gonna fix this and address the issue. Pop this out. Sorry guys, 1 second please, because I wasn't seeing any of the chats, and the reason why is because I had the wrong link in here. Okay, there you go. All right, so apologize for the little bit of a confusion there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly go through the cards here, and it's actually really interesting for me because it involves the four divinity or divine or mythical beasts, if you will, of the Chinese Taoist mythology, and so it is based on something that I was familiar with, and I thought that the names were actually well done. So I'm gonna, I just want to recognize that, hey, it's actually kind of cool. So if you take a look at the cards here, this is going to be a light Beast Slayer event. And typically Beast Slayer events is one that we haven't really had a lot of boosts in. Like, we don't have any other cards that boost the Beast Slayers. And so it's going to be interesting to see how things go for this particular event. But what I want to do is I want to take a look at the cards, and we're going to take a look at, see what we get out of the pulls. And then we will also talk about some cards that can go with it. All right. And so starting with the ultimate form, this is the Auspicious Guardians. If you take a look at the artwork here, the Guardians technically should have 4 beasts in here, but in here they just have the dragon and the tiger. But they're supposed to also be the phoenix and also the turtle. But with it, let's take a look at the skills here, because this one is very similar to what we've seen before, but with slight variations. So what this does is it will add 2 stacks of prosperity. And whenever you hear adding stacks of prosperity or something, this is going to be a global or a universal stack. So it's not per card, this is for the entire team. And what you do is it creates 3 Light Power Gem 5s, and then creates another one for every 100 beast killer intensity. So it's a little bit faster now than what we saw. And then what we can do is you could also heal for 600% for every stack of prosperity here. So it's a heal card. And it also increases the Light Slayer attack by 30% for every stack of prosperity. So and then the maximum is 6 stacks. So the maximum amount of Light Slayer attack boost is 180%, and that is the maximum. You can't go beyond that. Whether you have multiple ultimate forms or not multiple, whether you have the ultimate form plus multiple Master Collection cards or the Ultra Rare cards, it doesn't matter. The maximum is 6 stacks. And then what it does is at the end of every turn, one of the stacks will be decreased. Okay, so that is the skill here. So it's basically like a power. It's a power gen spawner. At the same time, it also gives you that attack boost for all of your Light Slayer cards. So it works really well with a Yokai deck as well. And the passive ability, so it gives you additional stacks at the beginning of the turn, so that you don't have to use your battle skill. And so you start with at least 60% attack boost and 10% damage reduction. And then another passive, which is really good here, is the fact that when you attack, it will dispel one of the enemy buffs. So that's like fear, dodge, or might, armor, all of those things will be dispelled. And so that's a really good way to dispel, counter things like fear. So it works well for commander events, like because fear gets cast every single turn, dodge, all of those blind, and actually blind is not a buff. Like fear, for example, is one of the most difficult one to deal with, and this card is a good one to take care of that. Okay, and so let's see. So we've got people saying hello from Singapore and Dubai. So just want to say thank you everybody for joining me here. What I'm gonna do today is I'm just gonna take a look at the cards and we'll talk about the sort of the possibilities of combinations here and potentially try out the mechanics if I get the cards also. All right, so that is the ultimate form, and then we have now the Master Collection card, the Ancient Qinglong. So this is a I think this is a beast of the east. Okay, that represents the east, or Qinglong. This is a green. It's supposed to be like green or blue dragon. Anyway, so this is the card that creates 3 power gem 4s. Okay, so very similar to the ultimate form. It creates power gems, and it also creates an additional one for every 100 beast killer intensity, and it also adds prosperity. So this card adds prosperity as well, which gives the same property. Okay, so that's the reason why it's the same across the board is because the prosperity stack benefits is applied to the whole team. So it's not just to the card itself. And so you could have one card and any other Light Slayer that you have in it gets also boosted by it. And it also starts with 2 stacks of prosperity, but it doesn't have the other passive ability of Dispel. The Dispel is coming from the ultra rare card. And so let's see, we've got Fiji Islands in Czech Republic, Sweden, and Mexico. I've always kind of thought that it's amazing how diverse the viewership is. So thank you guys for joining me here. And then we have King Beast Baihu. So Baihu translates to White Tiger. And I think this represents the beast from the west. Okay, so in the Chinese Taoist mythology, you have 4 directions: the north, the south, east, and the west. And each of those directions is basically, sort of protected by one of these beasts here. And this is the tiger, the white tiger. That's what it stands for. And this is another card that can create Power Gen 5. So now you have the ultimate form and the ultra rare card that creates Power Gen 5s, but it's battle skill based, not passive based. And then this one, though, is a little bit slower. It requires 150 beast killing intensity. I guess they're thinking that, well, it's the Power Gen 5 for an ultra rare card, not the ultimate form, so they want it to be a little bit slower. I personally think it could have, if it has stuck with 100 intensity, it would have made a much better deck, because then you would have had a lot more power gems quicker. This one sort of slows it down, and I'm not sure I like that as much. This one also heals, and the passive ability will dispel 1 enemy buff. So the thing is, generally you don't really see, at like a medium level or so, you generally just really see 1 buff. But as you go with the Corellian bosses and, especially in the guild bosses and also in like, commander events, you typically will see multiple buffs. So like, for example, you can see might and armor and also fear. All those things like could be cast all at once. And so if you have, 2 ultra rare cards and one ultimate form, that means all 3 of them will be dispelled. But I think I'm not sure at what rate they, like what the order they'll dispel at. So if you have 3 of those, buffs on a boss, and you only have the ultra rare card and one ultimate form and 1 ultra rare, I don't know which ones they're going to dispel in what order. And so that is something to consider. Like, you may not dispel the one that you want. All right. And so for the people who are checking, I've stopped doing the raffles for a little bit. I might bring it back, but for now we're not doing giveaways. Okay, and then we can take a look at the event collection, the event card here. So the event card is the prophesized Zhu Que. That's how you say this word, and it just means the red. There's multiple translations, but it's essentially a phoenix. And you've also seen a translation of this called the vermilion, and we've seen the vermilion before. So we've seen this type of card in previous iterations of the game, but this is the one that represents the south. Okay, so this is the beast of the south, and the one that's going to be missing is the beast of the north, which is the turtle. So anyways, so this is the card that is an event card, and it gives you Power Gem 3s, and it also adds 1 stack of prosperity. So this is very much like a Master Collection card. And you see that the boost is all the same. Like I mentioned before, this is because it's not card specific. But basically, the thing about this deck though is that it's a 3-turn cooldown, and every single turn you're going to lose 1 stack of prosperity. And so if you have multiple copies of the Master Collection card, maybe the event card and the ultimate form, then you can keep it at 6. But after this event, if you only plan to use this ultimate form, that means you can only really get at most 2 plus if you activate a battle skill 4. So you basically can get I think you start, how many do you start? You start with 2 or 4. With the ultimate form card, you start with 2 stacks of prosperity, and so after the event, let's say you just use this 1 card, you could potentially activate the card at the very beginning of the turn, the battle. So you can really just start with 4 stacks of prosperity, or translate to 120% damage boost. After that, because of the rate of decay, where you're going to lose 1 stack of prosperity every turn, it's a 3-turn deck. You're never going to be able to get back up to 6 stacks using just this card. So that's something to think about. Okay, something to think about is that after this event, I don't see this deck really being as useful. But the art is nice, so that is something that I do enjoy. All right, Limitless 尖兵. This is the way you say this. So if depending on how you say this, this could also translate to it's a really popular breakfast item, actually. 煎饼. It's kind of a really popular, kind of like a pancake, like with people. A lot of people often would put like eggs and various meats and stuff like that wrapped around. Basically like a pancake you wrap around those things, but that's not it. Okay, so this is actually the personified name for the beast of the white tiger. So in the mythology here, each of those beasts have a name as well, and in this case, for the support card, they happen to take the white tiger, and they use the personified name, or the name of the god. Okay, so they're also represented as gods of the different directions, and Jianbing is the name of the god here. So there's like, the reason I'm saying this is because like you might look at it and you might not realize what it's all about, but there is really truth behind the names here, and there's a whole mythology behind it, and I thought it was pretty interesting, and so that's why I just wanted to talk about a little bit, and also to clarify that they're not talking about the breakfast item, okay, when they give this name, because it really depends on how you pronounce it. So those are the 4 cards, and the support card here is a very basic card that creates 8 light gems and also heals. So with all the healing it's doing, basically Toxin will be a very bad thing for it. So it will counter this deck pretty easily. But the cards that the things that we need to deal with are Thorns. So Thorn is a buff also, and that's something that will get dispelled if you have the ultra rare card. So we got Thorns and Might, another one that is considered a buff. I just want to make sure and see what the third one is going to be. So far we have Thorns, Might, and Gem Silence. Okay, so we have Gem Silence, which is not a buff. Okay, so we have Might and we have Thorn, so that's going to be the 2 buffs, and then we have a debuff here, Gem Silence. So that's something that you have to be careful, because that is one that's going to essentially make it so you cannot, passively or actively produce any power gems at all. Okay, all right. So let's see here. We're gonna go 3 tiers here, and I do have enough coins to go for to craft another card if I wanted to. But this is not a deck I'm super excited about, to be honest with you. I would have thought that they had maybe some boost, but the nice thing about this particular event is that there is a special event going on right now, where if you have VIP, then you're going to get 2 additional cards for every tier. And so tier 1, instead of 1 card, you got 3. So it does increase the chances of you pulling something better. Of course, better than what I would have, because I'm just pulling 1 card each tier. But let's go 3 tiers and see what we get. So if possible, I would like to show the mechanic, but it's not it's not a difficult mechanic to understand, really. It's just, it's kind of like the Grail mechanic where each time you activate, oh, we got a gold card. Hey, we got the ultra rare card. So that's the King Beast Baihu. So this is the ultra rare card. Tier 2, that's really good. And so one thing I could consider doing is I could use my coins to craft the full team. And the question is whether I'm going to do that or not. But I feel like, you know what? Whenever I pull something, I should just go ahead and use the coin and not worry about the next event. Kind of have that YOLO thing, So kind of like, hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the future. Just kind of deal with the present and, go with what you got. So I'm going to go ahead and pull tier 3 here so we can at least get one relic. And then we will go ahead and forge the card, and we're going to see the mechanic in action here. Okay. And so tier 3, unfortunately, isn't... so I think that's going to be the relic. So Topaz Circlet, and that's going to be it, I think. Yeah, so we're not going to have the Master Collection card, so I'm going to have to craft it. Unfortunately for me, I don't have one of the cards that's required to get the shiny. Okay, so if you take a look at the collection here, what we've got here is the Devrim, right? And this is also a version of the Phoenix, and that is part of the Yokai deck, right? So this is also another card that's going to give you a boost, but the card I don't have, I actually have this one, I just don't have it at 6 stars. So Swine Lord Junfa is one I do have, but just not at 6 stars yet. The one I don't have is this one. I don't have the Kaminari Stormcaller. This is the deck with, forget the name now, but it's the one with the ninjas, right? Like with Akira as the Master Collection card. So anyways, if I don't pull that from my collections, then I will not be able to get the shiny. But I think that at the very minimum, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and craft so that we can sort of, show the deck in action so that we can see what it's like. Personally, though, I don't see this being a deck that is going to be super useful after the event. And so the Wandering Clan, thank you, Prozac. So I don't see this deck as something that is going to be super useful after this. But as always, when you have the ultimate form of the current event, that's always helpful, right? And so let's go ahead and craft it. We have 44 coins, so that gives me... so that's just enough for me. Oh my gosh. The lag almost got me to click on something else. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on this. So Ashley, it's been used a long time since you've seen anything that's super usable after the event. So the one that I thought was really useful is actually the card from the previous Earth Commander event, because I think that is something, the ultra rare card and also the ultimate form are both cards that I think has use afterwards. This is not one of them. Like, this is not a deck that I see that has a lot of it's not a high utility deck, but for me, I'm crafting it because, like, why not? Because I was able to pull a life, so I'm going to go ahead and get the deck. But honestly, this is not one where I just looking at it isn't one that I feel is super impressive. Okay. And I'll tell you the reason why. So if we take a look at the cards here, so let's go ahead and put the deck in. Let's go ahead and change it to Slayer. And I guess I'll change this to also Beast Killer, so that would make it easier. Okay. So what's funny here is Enlightened Yokai is also a Beast Killer card. So if you have this, if you have the Enlightened Yokai already, you have something you can use also. And Enlightened Yokai is actually a really good deck too. All right, so we're going to go ahead and switch this out, and then we're going to put in this, and the Ancient Qinglong is fine. I might put in the Yokai here, and for now, I'll put the Transcendent Devrim, and then we'll take a look here. So we got the Beast Killer, so that's good, right? So we can use Beast Killer. And the thing about this deck nowadays is you have to use the correct killer skill relic in order to get rid of the shields. And since this is the first light beast event, we don't have any other relics, so that's the only thing that is unfortunate on my part, in that I will have to think about it. But what I typically do is that if you have an ultimate relic, I just put one of them in, because what that does is it breaks 2 shields, and this can at least help. If you put another one in, that breaks 3, so that's good. And if you really needed to, then put in another one that's off color, and then that's going to give you then I'll give you the full destroy, because I think I think in Slayer events it's up to 6, and so it's going to be an issue for me for sure. So I'm going to have to put in other relics in there to deal with the Corellian bosses, because it's 6 shields for Slayer event, which is going to require me to basically put in all non-affinity beast killer relics. But it is what it is, right? Okay, so let's see. Just looking at the card questions here, if there's any questions. Yeah, so there's a lot of people saying thanks here. And if you have the ultimate form of Yokai, it's almost 6 pink stars. You're just short of some dust. Yeah, so then I think you're doing really well to that's the case, right? And so we are in, let's see, if we take a look at the Legend Trials. I mean, I could go. I don't. I can just go with this. I can just do the entropy for 50. Okay. I'll be able to earn some of the tokens for it later on, so I'm not too worried about it. So let's take a look at the mechanics just to see. So what I've done is I've added, for now, anyways, without really thinking about it, I've just added my Enlightened Yokai and also the Devrim in here. So Devrim also increases the attack of your Light Slayers, and it increases it up to, basically increases it by 25%. So it's not a huge boost, but then we have the Ultra Rare card and Master Collection card and the ultimate form of this deck. So we can take a look and see where the prosperity stack is going to be located, so that you can understand what I mean when I say it's a global rather than a individual boost for the cards. So let's see, Martin, you have some beast killers but no weapons with it. You have Dark Golems, Freedom Fighters, and also the Dark Chaotic Killer reset deck. You have no idea. Honestly, you can use Golems basically anywhere. You're just gonna have to use the light immortal cards, right? So you can see here, you start with the 2 stacks of prosperity, and because I have the ultimate form and also the Master Collection card, it's we have 4. So you can see on the right here. So my attack right now is at 90%. I basically have 90% attack boost because of the stacks of prosperity there, and every single turn, it's going to come down unless I activate the battle skills of either the Master Collection card or the ultimate form. Okay, and the thing about this deck is there's no passive gem spawn. There's no passive gem spawn whatsoever, and so you're gonna have to make your own. And this is where it's going to be a little bit of an issue, because we don't have we need to match light gems, and they don't passively create anything. So you have to increase the beast killer intensity. That's the main thing. And right now with the relics I'm using, it's really slow, right? So you can see here, if you don't use beast killer relics here, it's going to be a problem. So I think one of the things I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to put in a beast killer card of a different affinity, so that I can take advantage of 2 things. The things I'm gonna have to take advantage of are the intensity count, and also the dispel or the destroying the shields here. Okay, so we're gonna revisit this a little bit later, and then we're gonna see what we could potentially do. All right, but the Enlightened Devrim and also the Enlightened Yokai card combination is really good. I really like them because they can give you a lot of gems. And so I'm not sure what would be the best thing here. However, I would keep this card, because what this card does is it gives you additional gems for any skills that heal, right? I've been playing so slow that I only have 5 seconds left. So let me see how much damage I can deal after I activate this. So let's go ahead and do something here. All right. I'm not even sure I'm gonna be able to destroy the armor beforehand. I was kind of more focused on talking about it rather than talking about the damage boost. Probably not gonna be able to do this in time because I don't have enough gems here. But what I'll do is I will just go ahead and try this. So here's the thing, right? It's also a beast killer bonus. So we're going to be able to at least attack entropy here with some boosted damage. And let's just see how much damage we can actually deal here on a single attack. The lag is kind of bad too. So let's see. Probably a couple trillion. Yeah, just it's not like, I mean, I guess the health on this entropy isn't that high, so I was able to take it out. But overall, though, like you can sort of see that it's not a deck that allows you to match regularly because there's no passive that matches. So that's one that kind of feels a little awkward compared to what we're used to, right? But if we wanted to change the deck a little bit, because when you go with like a single affinity deck now, it's really not as helpful, right? So if I wanted to create a bunch of power gems, honestly, I think Transcendental of Devrim is a little bit better because the passive ability allows you, like what it does is it creates, when a healing battle skill is used, it creates 2 additional power gem 3s. I can't remember if it happens for every single one or if it only triggers. I have to remember, but because the cards here, like these cards heal, you can also take advantage of the Transcendent Devrim. So let's take a quick look at the skills here again. So this one doesn't heal. I think the heal comes from, okay, so the heal comes from the support card for sure. And I guess there's no heal coming from the ultra rare card. So let's take a look here. Oh, it does heal. So the ultra rare card will also trigger Devrim. So it's going to be either one of those two, I think. But for me, what I would do is I could do something like this, right? I could do a Earth Commander card, for example. And what I could do is I could put in the Savage. I think it's still probably better to put in the Inline Yokai because it can create, I think, 8 power gems right off the bat. So I could also use a Savage Swarm because the Savage Swarm will passively create power gems every single turn. And what that does is it will allow me to, create a bunch of power gems on the board and not overwrite, and so I reduce my gem crush possibilities, and then I could then create more power gems, activate them. I can upgrade my power gems better, and plus having the Savage Swarm gives me also some it gives me also a immunity if I wanted to. So let's see, Inline Yokai creates 4, and if your health is below 50%, you get 4 more. So you can get 8 power gem 4s if your health is high enough. Now, the thing is, Savage Swarm is a immortal killer though, so I'm not really gonna be able to benefit from my relics. So if I really wanted to do this, other beast killer options that I'm gonna have, just looking at some of the cards here, we have the Ring Royalty. That's not going to be really great. We have the Draconian Scoundrels. We don't want to do that because that's going to delete that's going to destroy all of the light gems we have here. Let's see, the Flamebound Taurus. Flamebound Taurus is, I think, the one that will create, let's see what this does is, yeah, so what this will do is it will create power gems for 4 turns. So if I use this, what I can do is I can use this card to create power gems over 4 turns, and it will happen first. Then I can activate the the battle skills of my light cards. And what that will do is it will not gem crush, and then it might actually upgrade. So this is actually potentially a decent card for me to use because I need beast killer intensity, and I need to do that in order, like I need that card in order to use the fire relic, right? So I can use, for example, if I wanted the beast killer, then what I could do is I could use the light one, and I'll have to use the fire one, for example, right? So then I can do something like this. So this at least gives me three. This will at least help me destroy 3 of them. But I'm losing out on the light gems I get at the beginning of the turn. But it's not really going to be a big issue because it's not really a deck that is a 1-turn kill anyway. And so if I'm really struggling, what I would do is I would then also add this. So now I can destroy 5. I can basically destroy 5 of the shields. It really is important to destroy the shields. You need to destroy. You need, like, at most you can only really keep 1 or 2. Like, you don't want to keep more than that on the board, or your damage is going to just go really low, and so that's going to be an issue. And so this is potentially an option for me, although I do like the Savage Swarm as an option. But for me personally, in my situation, I don't know that I'll be able to take advantage of that as much as I could if I were to use this. And if I wanted to do that, then what I would do is I would actually be, switching it around so that I can activate this card at the beginning of the turn so I can use that. Still not sure that it's going to be the best option for me, but this is something that I can try. So this is if you're using straight up a beast killer. But like I said, there's no good beast killer boosting card here in this game. And so the damage output is going to be much lower compared to if you were to do something like if you wanted to use an Immortal Killer, for example, right? If you want to use Immortal Killer for Slayer, I don't actually have the Immortal for Light, but this is the deck, right? This is the deck that has that. I forget the name of the deck there, but that's the one that I don't have. So you could potentially use that, and then use the ultimate form of the current even ultimate form to boost it, and then use the high performance area and golems to do something. Somebody asked in the chat whether or not Apex Predators is going to work. It's going to be okay if you want to use it with area, but the problem is you're losing the 10 times affinity bonus, so you're not really going to get a whole lot of damage done either, compared to if you were able to use light, right? And the other option is to use light arcane. So if we take a look at arcane killer for light, once again, it is not. It's also a deck that I don't have, right? So I don't have the light arcane either, so it's also not really an option for me. I mean, I could technically use Hellboy, but I don't think that's a good idea, right? So it's, for me, I don't really have a whole lot of options, but you might, right? You might have that. So Immortal and Arcane are sort of like the 2 obvious choices. The other one we can use is you can use Noble with like Santa, for example, but Santa and Noble, you're going to want to use for light. Let's see, what is the light Noble one? So you can use Wandering Clan with the ultimate form, the Auspicious Defenders, and if you have some Santa Claus cards, then you can also boost the cards, but it's going to be really difficult, right? So, and because I don't have the cards to show you, I'm not going to be able to really help out. So the main deck, I don't have that one either, unfortunately. So there's a lot of light Slayer cards I don't have. So I'm going to have to rely on some people sort of providing their input on, what options you're going with, and, you could try it. So Armor Automaton, let's see how much damage we're talking about here. So this was a card that I had recommended that is a water commander card. And so like Ring Royalty technically can also boost the Beast Slayer cards, right? So Ring Royalty, I think what it does is it boosts the damage output of the beast at the start of every turn, right? So this is technically a card that you can use too, because this will automatically boost you regardless of affinity, and you don't need to do anything. So Ring Royalty could also work for Beast. And Armor Automaton is another option where what this card does is it gives you a damage boost also. right? But it only boosts if the hero attacks. So you need to be able to have the armor automaton attack, right? And it will increase it by 50%. And what's nice is it has a 1 turn cooldown, so that you can create the water power gems, and you can basically try to attack every turn. So this is an option too. But I kind of like the ring royalty in this case a little bit better, in that you could increase your beast killer damage every single turn. Every single turn you can get the damage increase. So with the stacks of prosperity plus ring royalty, I could potentially, to be like completely crazy and wild, even though I'm not sure that's a great idea, I could potentially do something like this, right? So what that does is it gives me a damage boost every single turn, and then I can use the battle skills to give me attack boost. So I'm getting attack boost, then damage boost, while maintaining, the power gems from the Flamebound Taurus every single turn, right? So this is sort of like, a potential solution, but having not tried it in the event, I'm not sure that it's going to be able to work or not. But it's just kind of, just theory crafting as like, what are some of the potential options here also. So now we start asking about like, Maknae, which is the commander beast. So Maknae is a card that I'm not sure, does it increase all beast killer? So this is the K-pop deck, right? And so if we take a look at Maknae, is it beast? I think it's for light commander. So what this does is, when you get hit, heal for 1,000, cleanse of immune. No, this is not the same thing. So this one doesn't actually have a damage boost. So the damage boost is only in the Golem deck. So Maknae does have the immunity, but it doesn't give you it doesn't give you the attack boost, right? So even though it's a beast killer, it's a commander card too. And one of the things I mentioned here is that using the commander card boost here, unless you have like 6 stars here, you're not really going to be able to do more damage than like a regular support card for the Slayer event. And so you may not actually see a lot of benefits here. And plus, this one doesn't boost any beast cards, so you're not really gaining anything from using this deck. Okay. So let's see. Any other questions here? So Maknae can be used to cleanse Gem Silence. That is very true. So if you have options, so if you're looking for options to basically dispel Gem Silence, Maknae is a good one because it does dispel. Same thing. You can also use, and it's better because it's a light card. And any other card, like if you're gonna use Golems, then you're automatically going to get the Gem Silence dispel anyway. Let's see. So Gem Silence, if we're talking about light, we do have some options here. Starborn Sentinels is one. If you're going to be using the Yokai deck, you can also use Turia. So Turia was a card that was part of the rewards from the season rewards. So most of you should have that card. And there are other options in there. If you're not using light, there are other cards that can also dispel Gem Silence. There's a ton, actually. There's a lot of cards that dispel Gem Silence, right? You can see here there's all of these cards can dispel Gem Silence. Okay, so there's a lot. There's a lot of options out there for Gem Silence dispel. And so I think it's one of the cards, because that debuff has been around a long time. It's one that is not as big of an issue. However, if you don't dispel it, then obviously it's gonna be a problem. So let's see. Questions here. Do we know what the actual percentage boost is from a full HP ring royalty is 100%? Yeah, so my understanding is that if you're using ring royalty, if you're at 100% damage boost, then you're going to get 100%. If you're 100% health, then you're going to get 100% damage boost. And anything below that is just going to decrease the amount of damage boost that you're going to get. Question here: is it possible to use Golems with the Lions deck or the combination, or is it crappy? Golems and Lions means that you're using Fire Affinity, right? So you're talking about Immortal, using Golems with Blitzkrieg, right? The problem here is you're using a fire affinity, so you're gonna have to use first of all a fire beast card. So in this case, bring royalty with Blitzkrieg beast. Then you use glorious golems, and with no light cards on it, I think it's a really interesting choice. I think what you'll get is you'll probably get somewhere that is similar to what you'll get if you use light beast deck of this deck here. I'm not sure you're going to get much more damage out of that. I wouldn't say it's crappy. Like, it's obviously a really good option in the Fire Slayer event, but in the Light Slayer event, using an off affinity and the damage boost, you're losing out. Like, it sort of, because of the affinity boost that you're losing out on. At best, you're hoping for a similar damage output. You're not really going to gonna get that much of a benefit. If yours is at 5 stars, 5 pink stars, that means you're gonna be dealing 1200%. So 12 times. Basically, think about it this way: you're getting 12 times the damage, right? So 12 times damage, and that, if you cancel out the 10 times affinity, you're basically dealing 2 times additional damage on top of the affinity boost, and then you get the Golems boost on top of that. So yes, you will get some reasonable damage, but not much more than. I take that back. I think if it's a 5 pink stars, I think it'll be comparable. It might be able to compete with like a regular light Slayer deck. But I wouldn't expect it to be like an overpowered deck, because there's just too many things causing the damage to be reduced, right? So using May, if you have, so here's option. If you don't want to chase this deck, if you have the Enlightened Yokai, and if you have Immortal May, and then you have the Golems, then give that a try. That would probably be easier than going with a Blitzkrieg, right? But you still need to have and what you'll get is, the nice thing is that the Inline Yokai deck is a pretty good power gem spawner card, and so you're going to be able to create a lot of power gems with it. So that's something that'll be good to use. So that is something to consider also. Okay. So my personal preference here is that, the deck here, to me, it's an okay deck at best. Okay, there's no passive ability that will spawn any gems, so it really decreases the flow. Like, the flow really is the thing for me. Like, you can't really do continuous damage. It's a 3-turn cooldown deck, and it's a slightly faster deck in terms of creating more power gems, so that's good. If you can get multiple copies of the Master Collection card, and with your ultimate form, you can do something good with it. But overall, I think the only really good thing that is good for me is the fact that every time you attack, you're going to be able to dispel. You're going to be able to dispel a buff for the boss, so that's a good thing. I don't really feel like, I enjoy the way that they've made the prosperity mechanic here, because it depends on having the full team. Okay, so this, in order to get your maximum 180% damage attack boost, you really need a full team here. After this event, you're really not going to be using the Auspicious Guardians with other cards along with it. And so what that means is you're never going to be able to get the most out of it. At best, you're going to be able to get 60% damage attack boost for light Slayer, for light Slayer cards. Okay, so you're not even going to be able to boost the light commander cards, right? If this was like, a increase of, all, light cards or all beast cards, that's one thing, but this is only usable in a light Slayer event. So come next light Slayer event, you're only going to use this card. You're not really going to use another card, because you need to use another ultimate form. You need to use other cards. And so for me, this card has less usability in the future, in future events. And to me, it rates lower on my, should you get it, should you not? I used coins for it because I wanted to show the mechanics for it. But I would say, if you have If you already have the inline yokai, you feel like you can do well with it, then I don't think there's a reason for you to spend your coins immediately, especially if you want to save up for the fire commander event. Typically, commander events will benefit more from having the ultimate form because it's harder to deal with, whereas in the Slayer event, it's easier to get trophies without a full event team, right? Personally, the good things are the artwork is indeed phenomenal. It is, it's based on the mythology that I really enjoy, right? And by the way, if anybody watches anime, Fushigi Yugi, right? The premise of it is based on the 4 divine beasts, which is also which happens to be the same as the ones listed here, the same Chinese Taoist mythology, right? And so it is a mythology I enjoy. So I don't mind getting this deck, but it really isn't as powerful a deck. And so, it's one of those things like, make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into when you get this deck. And if you don't get the power output that you're expecting, there's a reason. There's just simply not enough of the damage boost from the previous cards compared to the other killer boosts. And what's nice is, well, everybody's in the same situation. And so hopefully this is going to have a more even playing ground for everybody, right? So that is basically my assessment here. Hopefully this helps you make your decision on whether this is something that you want to go for or not. Personally, I wouldn't recommend it highly, but if you enjoy the artwork, you want to go for it, and if you need a light Slayer killer card because you don't have the yokais, then why not? It will at least help you. Okay, and so that's going to be it for me for today. Thanks a lot for joining me for this session here. And again, I got really lucky and pulled a ultra rare card, so I was able to forge the deck. So I'm happy about that. We'll see what happens next event. Probably not going to be able to pull anything, but I'm okay with that also. All right. So Maria Hobbs, the light card, ultra rare card. The one that I was talking about is going to be the King Beast Baihu. Okay, so that's the ultra rare card for this event. Okay, and that's gonna be it from me, guys. Thank you very much. Take care, and I will see you at the event. Good luck.